Mom,
Yes.
when were you born?
I was born Wednesday, April 30th, 1941,
And you know the time?
9:01
9:01.
a.m.
Mm-hmm. And where were you born?
in Lima, Ohio, at Memorial Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
Allen County.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother. He's younger than I am. He was born November 11th, 1946.
How old were you when he was born then?
I was about 4.5.
Do you remember him being born?
Yes, I do. Well, no, I don't remember the actual birth.
No, but you remember.
I remember, that I knew a baby was coming, and Mom and Dad gave me my own little baby doll, and my great aunt crocheted the edges around some receiving blankets for my baby doll, and then when Mom was in labor with him, Grandma and Grandpa Baldwin came up from West Liberty, and they kept me in the waiting room while Dad was up with Mom. Well, no, Dad didn't get to go up for the delivery. He was in the waiting room for a while too. He went up afterwards. But before they announced over the PA the birth, and I had wanted a baby girl. And Granddad Baldwin had promised me that if it was a baby boy, he would trade me a puppy for the baby boy. So I said, sure, that was good. And then we were in the waiting room, and I was playing around there, and all of a sudden I said, Granddad, I changed my mind. If it's a boy, I'm going to keep him. And then they announced soon after that over the PA that Mr. and Mrs. Ross had a new baby boy.
And were you upset that you decided to keep him?
No, but Granddad teased me then and said, boy, you changed your mind just in time. You know, I almost had myself a baby boy. And I thought, I wondered if I'd done the right thing.
Oh. And did you get along with your brother? What was his name?
Philip Eugene Ross. And, we got along pretty well. I was older than he was, and I had to watch him a lot. I was charged with keeping him out of trouble, which was impossible. And he had all kinds of mishaps and emergency room trips and whatnot. But it wasn't blamed on me, thank goodness. And when he was about 2, he didn't learn to talk for a long time. And when he did, he had kind of his own language because he couldn't say some of the letters. And he called himself, when they say, what's your name? And his name was Philip. What's your name? His name was Dilyup. And what's your sister's name? And he said, Duya. So we were Dilyup and Duya.
And who were your parents?
My parents, my mother was Mildred Laura Baldwin Ross, and she was born in West Liberty, Ohio. And my father was Roderick Newman Mackenzie Ross, and he was born in Lipsick County, or Lipsick, Ohio, but Putnam County. And I think he was actually born on a farm.
And so when I grew up, I knew your parents' mom,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get to know your parents' dad.
Mm-hmm.
And your parents' mom I referred to as
Mimi and Papa.
And how did that come about?
Well, you were starting to talk, and we needed something for you to call your grandparents. And we figured grandmother or grandma was going to be kind of hard at the beginning. So Sam had called his grandmother Mamie, and all of your brothers and sisters, I guess, did too. Mamie, and we thought that sounded good for Grandma, Mamie. And so we tried to get you to say Mamie, and it came out Mimi, and that stuck. We just called her Mimi. And Papa, I don't know how that came about. It just came about.
It just evolved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And since you called them Mimi and Papa, then your sister, April, called them Mimi and Papa also.
Yeah, by the time my sister came around, that was already their name.
That was established.
Yeah.
That was ingrained.
They were Mimi and Papa.
Uh-huh.
And let's see, were there any other relatives that you knew growing up?
Yes, my mother had two maiden aunts, Aunt May and Aunt Neoma, and that's just what we called them, Aunt May and Aunt Neoma. I didn't call them Great Aunt May and Great Aunt Neoma, although they were. And that they were her father's, Howard Ransom Baldwin's sisters. And he also had a brother, Charles Franklin Baldwin, and he went by Frank, Uncle Frank. So I had an Uncle Frank, which was really great Uncle Frank, and you had an Uncle Frank, which was his brother.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I have a great Uncle Frank then too.
Yes.
And then Papa Baldwin was Mimi's father.
Right.
And it was his house that Mimi and Papa lived in
Yes.
when I would visit them in West Liberty.
Right.
And it was Papa B's shop in the back.
Uh-huh.
And, okay.
Yeah. He had the shop in the back. Now, when you were born, though, they lived in Lima,
Mm-hmm.
Where I grew up on Bryce Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
I was born at 808 West Market. When I was born, we lived at 808 West Market, and so did when Uncle Phil was born. But right now, that is now a parking lot for St. Rita's Hospital. So,
I vaguely remember the Lima house. I remember the trips kind of being in the car and driving through Lima
mm-hmm.
to get to their place. And I kind of remember the front steps a little bit.
Mm-hmm. They moved when you were 3.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I remember the front steps so much as I remember seeing pictures of the front steps. It's hard in my mind
Mm-hmm.
to differentiate the two, whether I'm remembering the steps themselves or I'm remembering a picture of the steps.
Uh-huh. At that age, it would be hard to tell.
And so Mimi and Papa, they're no longer with us, are they?
No.
When did they pass away?
Mimi passed away October 23rd, 1988, in a car accident.
And when did Papa pass away?
He passed away in February. It was President's Day, February 20-something, excuse me, 1994. And he was in a nursing home by that time, assisted living.
Mm-hmm.
And,
So back to Lima, did you grow up in Lima all through high school?
right. All through grade school and high school, graduated from high school.
What high school did you go to?
Lima Senior High School.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I enjoyed it. It was only 3 years. Our junior high was 3 years, and our high school was 3 years. And yes, I enjoyed it. There wasn't much going on, really. There were no girls' athletic associations, that's all they had. Girls' Athletic Association was what it was, and but no girls' sports as such. And it was only like the cheerleaders that were in the Girls' Athletic Association. And all they did was play each other in basketball and whatnot. I mean, they didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No challenges or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only sports were for boys. If girls wanted sports, they had to go and cheer the boys on.